Greetings, friends. Tell me honestly, when you hear Brazilian art, what is the first thing that comes to mind? Perhaps the modern murals of Rio or the colorful carnivals. But what if I told you about a man who changed the rules of the game long before the current trends? Imagine this, the 19th century, when the whole of Europe is fascinated by mythology and portraits of aristocrats, and an artist appears in Brazil who boldly says, "No, my inspiration is the hands of peasants, the sweat on their foreheads, and the stories that palaces keep silent about." His name was José Ferraz de Almeida Júnior is an artist who changed Brazilian art forever. Born in 1850 in the town of Itu, São Paulo, he was one of the first painters to abandon the academic ideal and begin to depict the real, unidealized life of Brazilian peasants. His work combined European painting techniques with local color, creating images that reflect the essence of 19th century Brazil. Before Almeida Jr. appeared, the themes of folk life were not considered worthy of high art. But he drew attention to ordinary people, those who worked on the land, lived according to traditions, and created an original culture. He was the first to bring the images of caipiras, ordinary peasants who fed the country but remained invisible, to high art. His paintings became a bridge between the academic sophistication of Paris and the rough beauty of Brazilian fields. Take a look at this work, Caipira Smoking Tobacco. This is not just a portrait. It is a manifesto. Skin tones, wrinkles, even crumbs of tobacco on his clothes. Junior didn't paint people, he brought stories to life. Why is his name not as well known as the names of his European contemporaries? Perhaps because he dared to be the voice of those who are ignored? What do you think? Can art change the worldview of an entire nation? Hold on to that thought. Because ahead is a story about how an ordinary guy from the province became a national symbol and why his tragedy still confuses art historians. Who would have thought that a boy from the small town of Itu, who started out as a bell ringer in the local church, would later become one of the most influential artists in Brazil? But this is exactly how the story of José Ferraz de Almeida Jr. began. Born on May 8, 1850, he showed a talent for drawing early on. In the Church of Our Lady of Candelaria, he created small religious paintings that impressed the local priest so much that he raised funds so that the young man could go to study painting in Rio de Janeiro. So Almeida Jr. entered the Imperial Academy of Fine Arts, where he studied with the famous Brazilian artists Victor Murals and Pedro Américo. His academic technique quickly improved, and in 1874 he received a gold medal for his painting The Resurrection. But the real turn in his career came in 1876, when Emperor Pedro II saw his work. Impressed by the artist's talent, the monarch decided to support his further education by awarding him a monthly stipend of 300 francs to study in Paris. Thanks to this support, Almeida Jr. traveled to Paris, where he entered the École des Beaux-Arts, one of the most prestigious art institutions in Europe. There he studied under the legendary Alexandre Cabanel, known for his academic paintings. At the same time, he participated in the Paris salons and watched European artists move from academicism to realism. Imagine what a discovery it was for the young artist. Instead of idealized historical scenes, he saw live emotions, real people, scenes from everyday life. It was this European trip that helped him realize that Brazilian art needed its own face. Brazilian loggers and peasants became the heroes of his works. Did you know that Junior was the first Brazilian whose works were exhibited at the Paris Salon 4 times? Europe applauds, but he returns home because he knows that his mission is not about fame, but about truth. Don't forget to like this video if Junior's story inspired you as much as it has inspired Brazilians for 150 years. And share it with those who believe that art can be born even in the humblest corners of the world. After returning from Europe, José Ferraz de Almeida Jr. did not just paint, but created a new trend in Brazilian art. He abandoned the idealized romantic scenes typical of academic painting and chose social realism, a style that showed the lives of ordinary people as they were. His paintings feature caipiras, Brazilian peasants living in the countryside. They were not mythical heroes or aristocrats, but ordinary people with their own worries and everyday life. This approach was revolutionary. Take a look at the Brazilian woodcutter. This is not just a man with an axe. This is a monument to labor. His muscles are tense, his gaze is stubborn, and every detail is painted with photographic precision. Did you know that this painting caused a scandal? Critics whispered, "Why depict a commoner on a large canvas?" But it was no longer a painting, it was a real document of the era. And what about religious works? The resurrection and exodus to Egypt are not just biblical stories. This is a dialogue between heaven and earth. Júnior painted saints with the faces of peasants, reminding us that faith does not live in churches, but in the hearts of those who work in the field. In 1884, he received the Order of the Rose, the highest honor of the empire. But was it a victory? Or was it the beginning of a struggle? Because his realism became a mirror for a society that did not want to see the truth. Do you like the video? Like it, share it with your friends. Let Júnior's story inspire millions. And don't miss the next part. Love, betrayal, and the last blow are ahead. The year is 1899. Júnior is at the peak of his fame. His paintings are bought by collectors, his students honor him as a master, and he is preparing for a new exhibition. But fate is preparing one last story for him, not on canvas, but in reality. Can love become a death sentence? It all started with a mysterious letter. Maria Laura, the wife of his cousin José de Almeida Sampaio, had long been Júnior's muse. Their meetings in the pirate cafes of São Paulo whispered conversations about art and passion. But when the secret was revealed, this romance remained in the shadows. But when the secret was revealed and family blood became poison, the angry man could not accept it and committed a fatal act. November 13th, 1899. Hotel Central in Piracicaba. Júnior stepped out on the threshold, not realizing that his cousin was waiting for him with the intention of revenge. His death was a national shock. The newspapers wrote, "Not a man was killed, the soul of Brazil was killed." But the paradox is that this tragedy made Júnior immortal. His works, once called simple, were now sought after as relics. You can hardly buy fame at the cost of life, but this was the artist's last masterpiece, his own legend. The tragedy was not the end of his story. On the contrary, it only strengthened his legacy. The interest in his paintings grew even more, and his name remained forever in the history of Brazilian art. His boldness in depicting the common people, his ability to capture the spirit of Brazil, and his departure from academic canons made him one of the greatest artists of his time. If this story touched you as much as Júnior's paintings do, please share the video. Let the world remember that even tragedy can be a color in the big picture of history. José Ferraz de Almeida Jr. didn't just leave a mark on Brazilian art. He became a symbol of change, an artist who transformed his country's painting, opening the way for new generations of artists. His paintings can be seen today in the Pinacoteca de São Paulo, one of the main museums in Brazil, where a separate hall is dedicated to them. They continue to amaze viewers with their realism, sincerity, and warmth. On May 8th, the artist's birthday, Brazil officially celebrates the Day of the Artist, a tribute to the man who changed the national art. Streets, museums, and cultural centers are named after him, reminding us of his contribution to the country's culture. Almeida Jr. is considered a key figure in the transition of Brazilian painting from academicism to the national style. His works explore the social and cultural aspects of 19th century Brazil, and most importantly, they're still relevant today. He showed that art can speak about ordinary people, their emotions, their lives. And that is why his work continues to inspire. If this story made you think, please like and share it. Let everyone who believes in the power of art hear about the man who revitalized the nation through his brush. His story is a revolutionary change in artistic outlook. Thank you for watching us and making art immortal.